you for joining us for the broader user meeting. We're sorry that we can't be there in person, but hopefully we will be one day soon. So try and keep the meeting flowing, and due to the number of participants that we've got, we haven't muted anybody, but if you do wish to ask a question or add a comment, there is a chat facility which Phil is monitoring. So if you send a direct chat to Phil, he'll raise those questions or points on your behalf, either when it's relevant, or we'll try and catch them at the end of the session. But if there's anything that we missed, feel free to email support afterwards, and we'll put an answer to that. The video is being recorded, so it's going to go onto the YouTube channel. So again, you can catch up if there's bits that miss. If you need to drop off or you lose connection or anything, you can catch up on it. And finally, I just want to mention, you can see we've got this new border branding that you can see here. Phil's going to talk a little bit more about that later on. So I just thought we'd talk through the agenda. So I'm just going to do a bit of a company and border update. Louise is going to run through a system review, just to give you an idea what's in 29B. Then we're going to talk about the Forward project. Denise is going to talk about that, bring you up to speed where we are with Forward, or explain what Forward is to those of you that don't know. Denise is also going to do a development roadmap, so we're going to talk through that. Torbjørn is going to do a little bit of a presentation on web and an update where we are with web. And then if there's any questions, we'll cover those at the end. Okay, so we'll kick off with a bit of a group update. So for those of you that remember, we're part of the Hermitage Innovation Group. So we sit within the 6 groups company within Hermitage. So 2020 was a challenging year for the group. Some of the other companies within the group are heavily into the hospitality section, into that sector, and they also deal with universities. So the group objective last year was really to break even, and we achieved that. We've also got nobody on furlough at the moment throughout the group. Group strategy is that we're unlikely to acquire any further acquisitions in 2021. We're just going to focus on the core businesses. And one thing that we just thought we would mention is for those that you didn't know, is the super deduction in the budget 2021. Is the tax relief that you get on plants and machinery. Does include computer equipment and servers. So it's a good opportunity to invest in hardware and things like that. Okay, so let's just give you a bit of an update of where Border is. So Border celebrated its 30th birthday in December 2020. We continue to grow. Staff numbers are increasing to 18. We've got a new starter next week. And just for information, that headcount's kind of doubled within the 5 years. Many staff continue to work from home, so I know that's a little bit challenging. We appreciate that, it's not always easy for you guys if you want to speak to a particular person, that we have to pass messages on and get them to call you back or email you back. So we thank you for your understanding with that. We continue to promote from within and grow within. So since the last user meeting, Harrison's moved from support into the development department, and Holly's moved from admin into support, and obviously we've filled those vacancies from there. We've also got 2 apprentices with us at the moment to assist in support. So some of you may have spoken to Tom and New Louis, and they're also going to be involved in the testing of Forward. And we've had 11 new customer sites since we last had a user meeting. So I thought it was worth just a quick update to tell you about the people that we've got on the call today. So we've got Denise Townsend, who's the development manager. Say hello, Denise. Hello. So Denise is responsible for all of the developments in and around Counteract. Denise was also one of the founding members, so she's been here for all of those 30 years. We've got Phil Davis, commercial manager.
Hello.
So Phil's responsible for commercial activity, customer relations. You've got me, the operations manager, so I look after, responsible for support team, implementations, services. We've got Felicity Greenman, support manager. Say hello, Felicity.
Hello.
So Felicity is responsible for the day-to-day running of the support team. Torbjørn Saran, who looks after support and web, so responsible for sort of support activity and project managing the portal and trading websites. And we've got Louise Arnold, implementation and support, so responsible for training of customers, new and existing, as well as doing support activity. So that's enough waffle from me. So I'm going to hand over to Louise, unless anybody's got any questions at this stage, to do the bit of a system review.
So just to reiterate, because a few people turn up late, no problem. If you use the chat facility, if you've got any questions as we go, if you just use the chat facility, you send it to me, send it to Phil, and then we'll try and ask the questions as we go.
We'll do our best.
Right. Okay, so this is Louise here. So a very good morning from me to all of you, and huge thanks to you for joining our meeting. We do appreciate at the minute just how busy you all are. So our intention is to make these next few hours really useful and an efficient use of your time in terms of getting you up to speed with Counteract and how to use it to get the most out of your business. So with that very much at the front of my mind, this next session is intended to give you an overview of the updates and enhancements we've made to the system in this new issue, which is in the process of being installed across all of our customers. And so I've got to say it's a huge issue. There are over 600 changes. And within those changes, the updates and enhancements run to over 27 pages of A4. So I'm not going to be able to show you everything. So what I've done is try to pick out those updates and enhancements which we think as a team will be of the most use to the maximum number of people. And just to give you an idea of where I'm going with this and how I'm going to show them to you, I'm going to work through, let's just put them all up. There we go. I'm going to work through the enhancements in these areas of the system in this order. So we'll look at some sales first, then we'll look at reprinting documents. We'll look at the enhancements in quotations, in stock ordering, and then in the way that the sales data is reported and the way that you can interrogate your sales data. So that's the sort of order I'm going to run through things in. And so I'm just going to get rid of this slideshow and take myself to the demo kit. Where's my mouse on, Nick? There he is. Can I lock it in? Okay. Right. So if I close that down and I close, I'll just minimize that and take myself to the demo kit, which has, of course, I'll just log into this. Get right. Okay. And I just want to check with people out there looking that that screen is visible to everybody. Is it? So we're all right. Okay.
Yeah,
yes. Fabulous. Thank you. I just wanted to check that. I was very worried when we moved screens that the wrong bits would be shared. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is work through an account delivered sale. And as I work through that sale, point out to you the new features that are in 2.9b. So I'll just go to sales order processing and start my sale off. Okay, I'll go account delivered and just pop my customer in there. Okay, so the first thing that's new is that as part of getting our system ePod ready and to help with delivery drivers finding addresses much more easily, you can now record against delivery points, GPS coordinates, and what 3-word information. So you'll have seen this enhancement that came a few issues back where you can restore delivery points for customers. So against these delivery points, you can now store GPS coordinates and what 3 words. So the easiest way for me to show that to you is just to minimize my sale for a second, go up to the sales ledger and show you Bob, my customer's account, and show you where these things are actually stored within the account itself. So first of all, for Bob Jones's invoice address, I can store the GPS or the what 3 words data here. And also for delivery points, if I go to that delivery point that I just pulled up and put on the sale, within every delivery point, there is now space to store the GPS and the what 3 words information. And from here as well, you can go off, click on this link, that will take you to a map which will show you where this actual coordinate is, or I can click here and that will take us off to the What 3 Words website. So again, you could use this so that you can see exactly where you're delivering to. I'll just put this on. There we go. So you can see it there. So I've set this up. That is our entrance to the car park here at Border. So, and for those, because I didn't know what 3 Words was until a little while ago, the whole of the UK is divided into 3-metre square grids, and each grid is given a 3-word identifier. So you can identify anything on the British mainland to within 3 metres. And when we've been trialling this, we've been told it's been useful, particularly for things like when you're delivering to a site, say a farm or a building site, where the actual delivery address, but the point is not the same as the point at which your customer wants the delivery put. So one of the examples that a customer gave me a while ago was delivering to a farm, but the farmer wants the delivery in a field. So in the same way that I've used this to identify the car park entrance, you could use that to identify the field entrance, for example, that delivery is going to. So that's new, and that's there, as I said, to help with deliveries and also to get the system ePod ready. If I go back to my sale, I've lost my, let's come down here. I go back to my sale. So the next thing to do is to add some items to this sale. And within the product search, we've now widened the way in which you can search for products on your system. There are some new search options. And so coming down here, you'll see that this is a new option within this search feature. And if I click on it, what it will do is allow me to search by manufacturer's part number or by catalogue code. So in a bit more detail, what those are, in the price book at the minute, there is now a new field for each item in the price book, against which you can store the manufacturer's part number for that item. And therefore you can search on it when you're creating sales tickets. So if I just pop in here the start of a manufacturer's part number to show you how it works. So I'm not even going to put the whole part number in, just put in the first few characters. And what the search is now doing for me, I'll just come along here so you can see the appropriate column. It's pulling up for me all of the items in the price book that have a manufacturer's part number that started with those first few characters. Okay, so it's just a new way of searching against additional information for those items. So I'll pop those on the ticket and just put some quantities in. Similarly, I can use a catalogue code now to search for on a sales ticket. So the catalogue code has been stored in the system for a while. That's stored in stock control against a product, and it's unique for a particular supplier. So catalogue codes are per supplier. So again, if I put the first part of some catalogue codes in that I have in the system for some of my products, and I'll come along here and just go further, there we go. So you can see I've got catalogue codes for suppliers. So the whole point of this is to try and make it easier for your sales staff to identify products quickly and easily on the counter, selling the right, for example, the right small plumbing part to your customers. Also on this screen, you'll notice here that there's another column which is new called the internal code. Now, this is a new code which is going to be automatically generated every time a product is created on your system. And it's unique to each product and each product variant. And it will stay with that new product through, or stay with that product, I should say, throughout its life cycle. The whole point of this is to avoid potential problems with external interfaces should you renumber your products. So for example, websites, if you renumber your product codes, then sometimes that can cause issues when you're updating and communicating between third-party bits of software. So after using this, when we install the issue for you, it will automatically assign a unique internal code to all of your existing products. So that's what that internal code is about, against sort of future-proofing the system against communications with third-party software. Okay, so I'll just add one of these products to my ticket and then carry on a little bit further through my sale. Okay, so before I move off this screen, there is another new feature sitting up here under the customer details tab. Okay, so if I click here and I pull up the customer details, what we've now done is this will now display for your salespeople more information. It will highlight here if a customer has formal quotations or held sales or quick quotes open on the system. So the whole idea is that your salespeople can get at information more quickly if they're dealing with customer queries on the counter. And then once this is highlighted here, subject to salesman authorities, in the more information box here, you can actually click and view those particular documents. So for example, I'm just going to click here, have a look at the quick quotes that this customer's got open on the system. And you can see he's got more than one, so I can see them in a list. I can double click and I can go down into those documents and view them. So that final bit is subject to salesman authorities, but the whole thing is part of trying to get more relevant information to your counter staff as quickly as possible. Okay, so I'm going to close that down and just move to the end of the sale to show you one more thing on this sale, which is a new feature for us. So I'm going to say OK to the finishing touches screen to create the customer order. At this point on your live systems, of course, it will go off to the printer automatically, or however you've got things set to print. Because I'm on a demo system, I get this screen giving me print options. I'm going to cancel out that, because what I want to show you then is this this next screen, which is the system automatically creating a customer order acknowledgement on completion of a customer order. And there is an analogous function in here as well, where when you raise a delivery note, you can set the system to automatically send email and delivery note for you as well. So that's a new feature on the system, and I'll just show you how you set that up on your system, because there's two steps to setting this up, so this will work for you. So I'll cancel that because again, I'm on a demo system, so I don't want to send emails out of my demo system. I'll cancel that down. So the first step to setting up your customer order acknowledgements is telling the system that you want to use them. So within system maintenance and general administration, you'll find a system rules area. And if I go in there, I've got the system rules for setting up order acknowledgements and delivery notifications. And they're set independently, so you can have completely different rules for each of these different documents. If I click on there and show you how it works, you use the add button to add a rule. And in these rows here, each one of these rows would contain a rule for sending off your customer order acknowledgements. And I'm going to double click on this one to show you what the rules look like. So this is the rule I set up earlier. So what I've got here is by department. I can set the rules by department. So what I'm doing is setting this rule for customer acknowledgements sent from the counter. So I'm saying, so from the counter, if I create a customer order on the counter, I'll just do that, then use order acknowledgements for those particular customer orders. And down here, I'm saying, how do I want that to work? Well, I want a PDF copy of the order. I want the email sent from this email address, and this is the wording. If I want to add a new rule, then on our system, we've got departments set up. So you see, I can set my rules by department. So for example, if I wanted to set one from the showroom, I can then set a completely different set of rules from the showroom. So if I raise a customer order in the showroom, I can send the email from a different address. I can create different wording for that particular one. I can decide whether I want that one priced or not. So the idea is that within different parts of your business, you may want the emails sent from different places, you may want different wording, and that's why the rules are set to go from different places. So like I said, in our demo system, we've got departments. You may want different rules depending on the departments or the branches that you've got set up. So that would be your, I won't say that, I'll come out of there. come out of there. That would be setting them for order acknowledgements. It works similarly for delivery notifications. You just have a few extra options on setting up your delivery notifications, because you can raise delivery notes from a number of places in the system. So when you create the rule, you can say if you want the delivery notifications sent from these different points of raising them or not by ticking these boxes. The other thing I came in here for that I just wanted to show is that on your standard wording, you are able to put these little things that are called placeholders, where on the actual email text, it will pull out the date from the, in this case, the delivery note, and substitute that for this placeholder, so that you can put, for example, your order will be delivered on 15th of April, whatever is in the actual delivery note. And to understand how to use those placeholders and the sort of placeholders you can use, there's full guidance in the help down there on exactly how they work. Okay, so I will leave you to explore that when you set up the rules on your system. So that's the first part of setting it up. The second part is that you then need to store against your customers the email that you want the delivery notifications or the order acknowledgement sent to. So if I pop up to the sales ledger and I go to movements, and I'll go and find my customer, I'll show you where those email addresses are stored. So first of all, it's the on the details 1 tab, you can store overarching delivery email addresses, overarching email addresses for delivery notifications and order acknowledgements in here. But then should you want specific email addresses, excuse me, for delivery notifications or order acknowledgements associated with a delivery point, you can come into a delivery point, and under the communications button at the end here for each delivery point, you can put in email addresses here for your delivery notifications or order acknowledgements. So you can do it overarching by customer or have email addresses for specific delivery points. And it's worth saying at this point that the way we see this moving in future is that it won't just be emails that will be sent. In a future issue, we're intending to update this so that you can also store text information, so that text messages can be sent as well as email notifications. Okay, so that brings me to the end of an account sale and the features I wanted to show you within an account sale. So I'm going to go back to sales order processing, and I'm going to start a cash sale and just show you some new features that we've put in the way that cash sales work. So I'll just start a retail cash sale, and I'll do a delivered sale again. Okay, and I'll come in here, and the first thing I'll do is enter a name for my customer. I'll type it in properly. Okay, so on this screen, we've been asked a number of times if we can make it mandatory for your sales staff to enter key bits of information. So there are now control file settings in the background, which you can set to determine exactly what information must be entered on these screens. And those control files work independently for cash collected sales, cash delivered sales, and cash direct sales. So you can have different bits of information mandatory for all of those types of sales independently. So I've come into a cash delivered sale, and I've set the control file setting in here so that my salespeople have to enter postcodes, addresses, and telephone numbers for a cash delivered sale. And I'll just show you how that works. So if you imagine I'm on the counter, I've just put a name in. If I then click to go off and edit some items, because I've set that a postcode must be entered, then I get that message. So I'm going to just pop a postcode in. Okay, and if I then try to move on, I've set it so that at least 2 lines of an address must be entered, and you can determine the number of lines of address here. That again is part of the control file setting, up to 4 lines of an address in there. So quickest way to put an address in is I'm just going to quickly look it up. So I'll just grab an address from there. And then if I try again, the other thing I said was mandatory was a telephone number. I'll put the telephone number in there. Now, those are the things that I said are mandatory for a cash delivered sale. So if I now try to move on, those things have been entered, so I can move on. And again, I'll just reiterate that those settings can be different for collected, delivered and direct sales, because you do appreciate that you want different things entered on the system for those different types of sales. Okay, so I will just really quickly add an item or a couple of items onto this so that I can then move off. So if I pop some of those on, and I'll add a few bags of cement, just so that I've got something on my ticket. I won't have sales ideas. What I want to do is to go straight to save and close. Okay, so this is a cash sale, and what I'm going to do here is enter a partial deposit, because as part of as something that a number of you asked for, we've changed the way that information displays when you enter an additional deposit. So at this point, what I'm going to do is just enter a partial deposit, and so I can go away and show you what the additional deposit changes look like. So I've entered £100 there against that sale. Okay, I won't print my customer order at this point. And I'll come down here. I'll just copy that because I want that in a second. What I'm going to go is go straight to options and enter a deposit so that I can enter the final part of my deposit. So I'm going to enter an additional deposit here. I'll go away and find my order. There we go. If I'll just paste in that number that I copied a second ago. And it'll bring me through here. And the thing that's different on this screen, which was a request from a number of people, was that there is more information about the cash values on the deposits displayed on this screen to make it easier for your account staff to deal with entering additional deposits. So down here, you've got the whole outstanding order value, sorry, the total value of that order. You've got the value of the deposit already taken and the balance. So that's now displayed on that screen. So I'm just going to put in the remainder there and move on. So that was deposits and a change we've made, an enhancement to entering an additional deposit.
Louise, we had a question on the order acknowledgements bit, and somebody asked if the order acknowledgement could come from with the name of the salesman who was doing the sale on it, so that the customer, if the customer had a query, then they would know who they dealt with. I would guess that's probably an enhancement.
Oh, Denise?
Yeah, no, that's not something we've got at the moment, but that sounds like a good idea. So we'll get that logged.
Right.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a good one.
Just to remember as well, if you want to ask a question, if you send the chat to Phil, rather than just the support one, because we can't, it's difficult to Louise to monitor the chat and do the presentation at the same time. So.
Yeah, like rubbing my stomach and patting my head. Exactly. Yeah, so Phil's monitoring the chat. And he's got full permission to interrupt whenever he wants.
When it's relevant. Yes.
Yeah, fabulous. Okay, so moving on from doing actual sales to an enhancement that we've put in to make management of customer orders faster, quicker for you. We had a request to make it easier and quicker to change the required date on a customer order without having to recall the customer order in its entirety and then resave it. So what we have done is I'll just pop to administration and to maintain customer orders, and I'll use my cash customer because I know he's got a couple of orders on the system. And for a while there have been buttons here so that if you have a list of customer orders, you can refund the deposit or you can cancel the order from within this screen. We've now added this function here so you can change the date. So that's changing the required date on that customer order. So if I highlight a customer order and I click on change date, then you can simply type or select the new date that that customer order is required by, and you can see it's just changed it instantly from within this screen. Okay, so that's there to make maintenance of customer orders and management of customer orders much quicker. Yeah.
Another one, they're loving the order acknowledgements. So I think somebody missed the start. So you can set the type of order acknowledgement by customer, can't you?
Yes.
So some will prefer emails, some will prefer other methods.
Yes.
Potentially.
Yeah. Yeah. So you set your order or acknowledgement or delivery rules at the beginning, in the system rules as an overall. But when you go into the customer's account, you can then give them their own sort of preferences for their order acknowledgement or delivery notifications.
Cash customers?
Cash customers. Denise, I'm not sure where those are.
You can do it on a non-credit account.
Okay. I think we're going to get. I think if you've got some ideas on that and you want to give us a bit of feedback, then please email support, not to direct.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that the order acknowledgements and delivery notifications, we've sort of started down that route, and I think it will evolve. We're expecting to add new features to it as in the next issues as we go forward. So any good ideas, please forward them to us.
I suppose one of the other questions we had was on the what 3 words. We might not be able to answer this straight away. Is what 3 words available for one-off address rather than a stored address? Chances are, if it's a stored address, they're already going to know where it is.
Okay, yeah, good point.
Yeah. Again, I think the what 3 words will evolve more from what we've currently got as well.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So I'll move on with the next thing I was going to demo. So moving on from point of sales functions to something that quite a few people have asked for, and that's the ability to reprint documents for non-credit account customers more quickly. So it's something that could be done before easily for credit customers using reprint documents, but this is a new way of reprinting document or printing documents, which is available in this new issue for all account customers, whether they're credit or non-credit. So I'm just going to close that down, and the easiest way to show it to you is within Sales Ledger and Inquiries, and I'm going to enter in here a customer who is a non-credit customer, and within the display customer details, more information, we now have an option to reprint document. And when I click there, you can see the first thing it's asking me is what type of document do you want to reprint? So I'm going to say cash invoices, and you put a date range in here. Now I know this particular customer hasn't had a lot of activity on our demo system, so I'm going to put quite a long date range in just to show you what it'll look like if you've got a few documents in the date range. I'll put the date range. And the first thing you get asked is, would you like to review the documents that are within that date range? And if I say yes, what it'll do is take me in and give me a list of all the documents that are within that date range. And this is because it might well be that you don't actually want to print all of them. You just want to print a selection of them. And you can see here the asterisks indicate the ones that are selected. So they're all selected by default. And if, for example, I didn't want to print that one as part of my printing documents, then I just take it off. The other thing I can do is double click or click on drill down, and then I can go in and look at each of the documents in detail, or I've got the quick view, so that using the quick view, I can just see very, very quickly the items that are on each of the documents and move up and down in the background with my little arrow keys on the keyboard. So the idea is that you have the opportunity to edit this list. And then when you print OK, you're printing off the documents that you have selected from within that list. Okay, now I'm not going to print OK here because I'll just send those documents off to the printer in the office, which I don't want to waste paper, but you print OK here and they go off to print. Actually, no, I am going to do that because what I've realized and what I've remembered is I can also show you that you can email from this point as well. So should you want to not print them, you can just send them by email here. And it's this point I'm going to cancel out because I don't want to do either. Okay, so that's reprinting documents for non-credit account customers now, as well as credit account customers within date range. Okay, Phil?
We've had a few questions. We get them coming in.
Cool.
So mandatory postcodes. Can that be set for customer orders as well as sales?
No, we don't have separate controls at the moment, but again, if people want that, then we can build that in.
Yeah, I think
we might need to have separate controls for quick quotes as well.
Okay, I think yeah, there's a few people who are interested in that.
Yeah.
John says there'll be times when cash customers need acknowledgements, particularly when they're higher value sales or specials. So again, you may want some controls about when we send an acknowledgement for a customer order, perhaps.
You can, if you actually view a customer order, always send an acknowledgement, I believe, even if it's a cash customer order as well. I think I'm right in saying that.
Non-credit print, can we email the documents?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, Louise. I think that question probably came just before Louise.
Yeah,
Louise covered that bit.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And on cash sales, how do you set up the prompt for the postcode to be added in cash sales? How do you set it up?
It's in some control files in the background.
Yeah. So if you so you need the new issue, and if you want it, give us a shout.
Give us a shout and we'll set it up for you. Okay. Thank you. Carry on.
Okay. Right, so I'm going to move away from this and look at a new feature that we've put into formal quotations. So I'm just going to recall a quotation. Give me 1 second. Just do that, and I'll recall it for. Okay, so I'm looking at a quotation here. I've got some items on that quotation. A number of you wanted to be able to export quotations to spreadsheets because your customers are asking you if they can have the data in that format these days. So we have added onto the print function the ability to, as well as printing, you can now export to Excel. And all you need to do to make that happen is click here. You can export both your internal costings copy and your customer copy. And I'll click OK on that. And you can see they've both appeared in the background. So I'll just come on here and click on them. So this one would be the customer copy. And so, so it's exported it. You could save it under a certain name, then email it off, whatever. Or change it in whatever way you need to for your customer, and also exported, because I asked it to, is your copy containing your full costings, margins, etc. on there. And it's worth noting that if you have terms and conditions associated with a particular quotation, they can be exported onto the Excel spreadsheet as well, so that the whole document can go out properly as a formal quotation. You could just send it out as an Excel document rather than sending it out as a PDF, as you might normally do. So that's exporting in that way, which is sort of exporting formally as part of your communications with your customer. The other thing that we've been asked is would it be possible, please, to export the details of the items on your quotation? And the reason behind this is that a number of you have said, if we've got big quotations, we'd like to be able to drop them onto Excel so that we can just, play with the calculations on those quotations and come to final decisions on what we're going to charge, for example. So now, if you're in the Items tab, under More Features, you can export. And again, it's created a little spreadsheet for me. If I come over here, all it's done in this instance is exported the details of the costings on the Items tab. Okay, so that's more sort of a spreadsheet for you to use internally to do your own internal calculations on. And Phil's
Customer acknowledgements.
Yeah, right.
The customer acknowledgements. I was stretching, but we had one on customer acknowledgements.
Okay.
Customer wants to know, could they have their T's and C's sent automatically with a customer acknowledgement? Probably one on the list. To go on the list, I guess.
Is it?
Yep, that's another one for the list. Yeah.
One to the list.
Another one. Okay. Denise making links by the side of it.
Well, you could add it into as the default text, couldn't you, Denise, as in the acknowledgements?
Yeah.
You could, but it's probably too much to fit. So yeah, I think that's
What about a link to a customer acknowledgement?
Yeah, you could put that into your text. Yeah. It's a good idea.
Yeah, or say see website for terms and conditions or something like that.
Apparently,
Okay.
what 3 words? There's 2 things to say on what 3 words. It covers the whole world. So if you do,
Oh, there's the world there.
so if you happen to go outside the UK, it does cover that. And it's £35 a month for a subscription if you're a business. Although I'm sure you guys can work out a way around that. And there is a link. If you Google, I've got a link if you want it for it, or you can Google. I'm sure you can Google it. But T's and C's, the ability to send T's and C's as an acknowledgement, particularly would be very beneficial. Quite a few people are saying as well.
Yeah, great.
And to be able to send attachments with customer orders as well.
Okay.
Okay.
So if you put a document on the customer order, you want that to go with the acknowledgements. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good to know. Right.
Yeah.
Fabulous. Okay, so going on to supplier emails. So we've been asked by a number of you if we could make it possible to store longer or more email addresses against suppliers, and then to make it easier to send emails from within the system to your suppliers. So if I look at the first part of that, the way that we've addressed that enhancement request. So I'm going to go to stock control and maintenance and look at my supplier details, and there we go. So if I've picked up a supplier in here, and for this depot, if I go here to look at where the emails are stored, you can see that now there's a lot more space to store emails for each of the different kinds of emails you might send. And you can get more than one email on a line. The trick is to separate them by a semicolon. So I've got all of these emails now stored against this particular supplier. And then if I move to where I can show you supplier details display, and the easiest place for me to show you that at the second is in the ordering inquiries and supply details display. And I'll pick up that supplier again. Okay, so you can see here that anywhere where I'm displaying my supplier details, I would see all of the different emails that I've stored against them. So I've got my ordering emails here, I've got my returns and my debit emails here. Okay. And at the end of each of these email sections, there's a little blue arrow. And if I click on the little blue arrow, it'll take me off, it'll open up an email window straight away and populate it with all of those email addresses for me. So that's a nice, quick and easy way to send emails to your suppliers direct from within the system, no copying, pasting needed. And of course, it goes without saying, if you only want to use some of those emails for a particular email, it's a lot quicker to delete them in that way than it is to type full-on email addresses in there. So that's supplier emails. You can store more email addresses, longer ones, and you can send quickly at the click of a button from out of the system. Okay, no. All right, so no questions yet from Phil. So stock checking. So there are some actions that you might want to do for stock records that you can't do if the item's on an open stock check. So for example, if you wanted to delete a product, for example, from the price book, you can't do that if it's on an open stock check. And up until now, you've had a message saying you can't do this particular action on the product because it's on an open stock check. And a request we had in was, could we therefore please make it easy for you to find out what open stock checks products are currently on. So what we've done is in stock control and inquiries, I'm going to show you stock display, but again, of course, you can get to stock display from a number of places in the system. I'm just going to look up a product here. So if I display that product on the main screen, where you would see the last closed check of the product, there's a little drill down button next to it. And if you click on that drill down button, you'll see a list in here of all of the open stock checks that that product's currently on. If I drill down from here on any of the lines, I would see every item that's on that stock check. And whatever stock check I've got highlighted, I can click on Excel and it will export the items from that stock check onto an Excel spreadsheet. So I can get full details of the items, what stock checks they're on, what else is on the open stock check with it.
Louise, I think it also includes historical stock checks. So you can control how long it keeps stock check history for. And I think you will see the historic stock checks as well there.
Fantastic. Thanks, Denise. Sorry for missing that out.
No, that's fine.
Thank you. It's good to have a guru on hand.
Just a quick reminder, somebody just raised their hand. I didn't quite catch who it was, but if you could send a question or comment to Phil in the chat, we'll try and address that.
I think we can get copies of the chat at the end as well.
Yeah.
And so if we don't answer your question, don't worry, we'll try and come back to you separately.
Okay, so finally, the last section of things that I wanted to show you are a number of new reporting features that are all designed to help pulling data off the system, analysing the performance of various bits of the business and investigating events and things that have taken place on the system a lot more easy to do. So we've got two new reports that I wanted to show you. So they're both in sales ledger and in analysis. Okay, and this first one that I wanted to show you is a lost margin review. Now the lost margin review is a breakdown of the margin that has been lost on sales when products haven't been sold at their standard prices. That's what this is all about. So if I click on it and I'll show you how it works. So first of all, I'll put in a date range. So I'm going to run this for January. So the idea is I'm looking at the margin. Sorry, typing that wrong. I'm going to be looking at the margin that my salespeople have lost for me by entering special prices, for example, on the counter throughout January. So I put January in here. I can analyze my figures by two different levels here. So it's come up by default as department and salesman. What I'm actually going to do is I want to see by salesman, say we'll pick sales type. So for each salesman, by sales type, I'm going to look at what margin has been lost throughout January. I click OK. So the report displays as a screen report, which means that you can double click into each of these lines and look further. So what it's displayed for me, I can see that Phil's done the most sales on this demo kit in January. Support's done a couple. I should be talking to them. They haven't done many. And for each of these different kinds of sales, I can see how many sales have been done. And it's this column here, really, which I think gives you the clue straight into where you want to look. If there's no difference, then that means that basically all of the collected sales that Phil has done have been done at the expected sales costs for those items. I can see here that there's a negative margin. So here I can see straight away that somewhere on his delivered sales, he's been entering prices that are not the standard prices for those products. So if I double click on that, I can come in here and I can see line by line, each line here represents a sale that Phil has done through January. So these are two sales tickets. These are two that have gone to invoice. And I can see that here and here, there have been sales where special prices, for example, have been entered. So again, if I double click on this line, I can go right into the sale itself. And I can see these are the products on the sale. And if I highlight a product, so that's the product I'm particularly interested in, I can see down here the details of that sale. So I can see that he sold 45 of them at 28 pence, and he used a special selling price. And usually they sell for 29 pence each. So, you know, the idea is to really give you information about where you might be losing margin because people are not selling at the expected prices. So that's a new report that's on the system that's been trialed with one of our customers for a while, and they say they have found that one really useful in understanding what's going on the counter. Another new report that's on the system, so I'll just come out of there, is the common associated sales. So this report is also going to be available on the price book, so you can access it here and in the price book. And this report is a new one which will show you the products that are most commonly sold with whatever product you select to report on. So again, it's easier to just show you. So I can send it to report, or I can send it off to Excel spreadsheet. I'll keep it as a report one. And what I'm going to do in here is put in this month. So for April. Okay, what I want to look at, for example, I'm not going to do it for all my products. Let's just look at what was most commonly sold with my plasterboard products, for example. So I know that HP is my plasterboard range. So for my plasterboard products, what are the products that are most commonly sold with my plasterboard range? So if I click here, view on screen. Okay, so I've only been selling one plasterboard product throughout April, right? So, but what I can see is for that product, these products are most commonly on sales with that product. And I can see that there were 3 retail sales, for example, with this product on. There were 2 trade sales with this product on. Okay, so the idea is it's linking you into what is most commonly sold with what to enable you to update sales ideas, for example, or just have an idea of the patterns of selling that are currently taking place. Okay, so that's commonly associated sales. So those are 2 new reports that we hope you'll find useful. And Phil's tapping the table at me. Come on, Phil.
So the loss margin review, could you just reiterate what's a standard price? So it's telling you what you've given away against a standard price. So is that trade A, or does it allow for quantity break?
That screen, actually, I almost interrupted there. That screen was showing that the price it was comparing with was customer terms. So it is the price that customer would normally get.
Exactly, yeah. So it's the pricing that should be given on a ticket if the salesman did nothing to override the price. So if it's a retail ticket, it would be a standard retail price. If it's one of your account customers and they've got special terms that you have set up for that customer, then that would be classed as the standard price for that customer. So it's really showing where a salesman has overridden whatever you've set up as the prices in the background for that particular customer or type of customer.
So that would include quantity breaks as well.
Yes.
If you've got, if that customer gets quantity breaks, it would take that into account.
It will take that into account.
And what about, I think that obviously that report is people are quite interested in that report, but could it be tweaked as also to report potential on customer orders so that they could catch a cock up before it was actually went through?
I believe that's already logged.
Okay.
I think it was Nigel that logged that.
It might be.
Thanks for Nigel.
Yeah,
it's a good idea.
Excellent.
Thank you, Nigel.
Okay, so shall I just move on to the last little new feature? It's not little, the last new feature I'd like to show you is one that's designed to help with understanding the flow of events on the system. So, and it's an update to the way our 360 overview function works. So first of all, I just need to pull up a transaction, and there are obviously lots of ways of doing this, but what I'm going to do so I can get there quickly is just pop into my customer, Jones, and find one of his invoices. So I'll find one of his more frequent invoices, one of his more recent invoices. So, okay, so I've got an invoice here, and for gosh, in loads of places through the system now, whenever you're looking at a transaction, you have an overview function. So if I click on there, what I'm going to see here is for this transaction that's highlighted in the background is all of the documents that are linked with that particular document. So you can see I got to this overview by highlighting the invoice. And I know that on this screen because the invoice is in yellow. but that invoice came from a customer order, which in turn came from a quotation. And then I can see there was a back-to-back order associated with it. There's the delivery note for that back-to-back order. There's the invoice for that back-to-back order. So this 360 function came out in the last issue, I think. And it's just designed to give you literally a 360 overview of everything that's associated with a particular document. And from this screen, I can go and view these documents. So if I want to see what the customer order looked like, I can double click into it. I've got the customer order here. And on the notepads, I've got any notepads associated with that customer order. Now, if I want to go off and see the supplier order, double click on it. If there are any notepads for that supplier order, I can see them when I'm in that actual document. So the idea is it gets you really easily, it makes it really easy to be able to investigate things, the flow of events that have happened. So what's new to this feature in this issue is down here, we have a new notepad function. And when I click on that notepad function, I see all of the notepads associated with all of the documents in this list. So I just move that down here. So when I clicked on individual documents, I could see the notepads with those documents. The notepad button I've just clicked on gives you all of the notepads together so that you can just see everything in one go. The other thing that's new is that down here, if there are linked documents associated with any of the parts of this transaction flow, I can view them through this button. So if I click on here, I can see that, for example, there were some documents associated with the original quotation. I can see that there are proof of delivery photographs taken. There's a customers complained that there was a damage, some of the items were damaged, they've sent a photo in. So any documents that associated, any linked documents that are associated with any part of that chain you can get to, and you can double click in here. Obviously I've just got a sort of dummy documents in here at the minute. I've got my little photograph in there. I can just double click on them and show there's my delivery. Here's the damaged one. I don't know how that happened. So those are two new additions to this 360 overview function to try and make it easier for you to investigate what's gone on with transactions, transaction flows. Now, if I go back to the outstanding tab, from here, I can show you another addition to a useful feature that we've got. So a while back, we introduced the quick view facility, and I've already sort of alluded to that in this little demo. But if I click there, what I can see using quick view are the items on whichever document is highlighted in the background. So, I can move up and down. It makes it easy to hunt for the document with the particular item on. And what we've done is added to this quick view so that now if you have a document and it's got tally products on, when those tally products are highlighted, the tally is shown down here. So that's a new feature on our quick view. And also the view button, if you have associated documents, associated linked documents anywhere in the thread, they can be viewed from in here as well. Okay, right. So that's, yeah.
Sorry.
You got
the 360.
Yeah.
The 360 overview then.
Yeah.
So if you can see the customer order, but can you also drill down into the deposit history from that screen?
Yes. Yeah. So if you do you want to pop back in there?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't take a deposit on this. So, but yeah, basically, if you're drilling down into any of the documents,
yeah, then
all of the tabs that would always be available are on those documents. So you could just click on the deposit tab, drill right into the deposit. So yeah, everything is in there. You can see everything. Okay, so we've come to the end of the new features that I'm going to demo here. Needless to say, I haven't been able to demo everything because there are many, many more. And just so once you have your new issue, if you click on the help button and you come down here to recent issue notes, then the issue notes for 29B are in the help, because the help will be updated when you have your new issue. So things that I've demoed plus other things are all listed in here, and lots of these updates and enhancements have little videos associated with them. So if you click on those video buttons, you can go off to just really short video demos showing them so that you can see how they work. So that's in there for everybody to look at their leisure once you've got the new issue. So I just wanted to point you towards that. And then the final thing that I wanted to say is that I haven't demonstrated this because it's take a full sort of 15-20 minutes just to demonstrate it. But 29B is fully compliant with the new legislation on construction industry reverse VAT. So that is within this system. So if you need to use that those VAT processes for construction industry reverse VAT, then just drop a line to the support team and we can get you information on how those new VAT processes work within 29B and make sure you're up to speed with that. Okay.
Just talk, how did you know those photos of the deliveries that went right and went wrong?
Yeah.
How did you set those up?
I just added them via linked documents.
Is it against the customer or the advice note? I can't remember which way you did it.
I did it via the advice note because.
And where do you actually store the photo?
The photo has to be stored anywhere on your network where everybody would have access to.
Yeah.
So it's not within Counteract.
No.
It's just a linked document on the network.
So the Counteract server needs to be able to see somewhere on that place on the network.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think we were saying if you've got any questions on that, give us a call because it's worth having to think about the structure of where you store. Don't just store them everywhere. So have to think about where you might want to set those up.
Yeah.
And is there something in the help about that, the linked documents and thinking about setting them up? I have a feeling there might be, but I might be wrong.
Do you, Felicity?
I think
I might be wrong.
it is, yeah. I think it's also worth saying that obviously we've been talking about EPOD, electronic proof of delivery, and the ability to sort of capture photographs of deliveries and things to bring them in will be part of that project.
We had a couple of questions as well, was about can we email direct acknowledgements for a direct order?
I think you can. I think you always have been able to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm sure you have. Yeah.
Yeah.
Although, and anything we've done has gone to directs as well, hasn't it?
Yeah.
I think I just read that this morning by fluke.
Somebody's jumped on EPOD as well already before we even talked about it, but somebody said if we take, I don't know if this is in the spec anyway, Denise, but if we take photos, if they could be uploaded automatically, similar to how when we do scanned advice note imports work.
We will be bringing them back in from the EPOD application and storing them automatically as linked documents.
It's all coming together.
It is.
Okay.
That's great. Thank you, Louise.
Fantastic, Louise. Thank you.
Thank you.